can hit some of my fastballs!
Welcome back to the Titanium Hangar. This is Mike. Today we'll talk to you about the Masterpiece Ultra Thrust, the MPU-01 version 2.0, based on the 3.0 Takara design, if you know what I mean. Now, this is finally another cone head that's with one of the modern molds, and it is based almost entirely on the Takara mold, and it looks pretty good. Now, mine was not perfect. I had a couple of issues, but I fixed at least one of them, and the other one's really not that big of a deal. So for the price point of $85, I'll have a link down below. It shows the store where I got mine, so you could get yours too. Remember, TH Reviewer code. But let's get taking a look at this. We're going to, of course, do the transformation. It comes in the alt mode, and take a look at the features and functions of this guy coming up. Right, here is the packaging, the box, and the box looks like very similar to Takara style packaging, but definitely not Takara's packaging. Masterpiece Ultra, so it's beyond Masterpiece to an Ultra stage. It does look a little cheap on the back. I don't even know how to explain it. It actually does kind of feel like cheap packaging overall. It's fine with me for, I think this is selling at $85 for the figure, and save on the packaging. So here he is out of the box, and it looks pretty good overall. There is something that I found was kind of strange. You do have kind of the null rays, and I believe they're painted. Look at the shininess of them. But the reason I believe they're painted is because, I'm not sure if it's going to show up on here, but there's like red or this burgundy color inside of here that's been rubbed off. Like the paint didn't quite get to it or apply to it. So this is cast in that burgundy probably and painted black, which I think is weird. Anyway, we've got to transform this. So to pop this up, you want to push down on this, pops this piece here up, flip this around, you have transformed that. Then you can slide this in here like so. Getting it out is not as much fun, but then you're going to turn this over, and you're going to tab using this tab or this tab to tab it into that slot, and be very careful with it because this is painted. So now this red part you're tabbing it into is painted, and so the tolerance is now shifted on this one part, so it's going to make it much harder. That's how you tab it in. I mean, that's how you tab it in. Okay, so you got to be careful because you will rub that paint. That's all there is to it. And then the wheels come out like standard. You pop this piece up, open the door, pull the wheel out, and there it is. Now you can push the wheel back. It'll resist against that tab there to give it the resistance. And you got the wheels, and you got these on there, and it looks good. So that's decent looking. I kind of feel like these protrude out to the front a little more than I would expect, but it's a small complaint or gripe. And this is where you see a difference between the cone heads and the standard Seekers with stuff like that. But yeah, I think you could also still mount it right here, possibly. I don't know. I'm not going to mess with all that. I'm just going to do the standard way of it, and yeah, it looks pretty good in the jet mode. Pretty much what you'd expect. I kind of went around and I tightened all this up, but it's still a little bit of gappiness, or just didn't seat in just right. I could probably fiddle with it a little more and get it perfectly flush, but it's close enough for me. I'm happy with it. I don't really display them in the jet mode very much, but the jet mode works for me anyway. Looks good. Remember not to mess these pieces up because they are painted. But let's get a couple of accessories. All right, we got the typical Takara stand, or maybe the Takara knockoff stand. I do feel like everything with the stand, every part is sort of, it's really hard to get everything out once you put it in. So I'm like partial put in, but it tabs into these two slots. I'm just tabbing it into one slot and letting it rest on the rear, and that has worked for me in the past. Okay, so there is that on the stand, and as you can see, I didn't even fully plug the stand into the bottom because I don't use these stands much. Now, it's very convenient if you're going to have this flying and then maybe put Megatron next to it or something. I mean, that would make for a good scene, but Let's slide these pieces in so he can look like he's got some thrusters going on. Well, I'm having a little bit of a hard time getting the thrusters to stay in place, but I had them in, but as I move it around and bump it, it kind of falls out. But there's one still holding into place pretty well. You just got to take your time to get them in there. And I believe I'm rubbing paint by messing with it. But still, if you want to keep it in this mode, this is something that you want, then there it is with the thruster in place. You still retain the whole feature of opening up the cockpit, which is fine. That's something that you want to do. And of course, you retain the seat that works and the front nose cone that pops open for whatever reason. There you go. If you need all of that, it's still there. All those features are still there. All right, for comparison here, it is compared to the Fans Toys Power Glide Mini Bot. How's that look? Almost the same size. Pretty impressive, but I think it looks good size-wise. I wouldn't really want the Seeker Jets to be much bigger than this. Comparison to an Optimus Prime, this is the Magic Square one, and then let's go ahead and bring in a couple of other things that I generally compare to, like Cup, and they live in the same world, don't they? And then the Fans Toys Sea Spray 2.0, there we go. Size, I don't really have any other Seekers in alt mode, and I just I'm going to move on and get this thing in bot mode. Alright, now for transformation, we're going to pop this off. Let's get these out of the way for now. Then we're going to have some fun getting them back on into this proper form. Fold these up and over, and then there is a tab to tab them in to the slot. Alright, let's disconnect this stuff here. Folding this down is going to give you the ability to get some clearance on it. And it's on a double joint here to fold back. Tabs in like so. Doing the same thing on the other side. Tab it, fold it down and around, and there's a nice double joint right here. And then we're going to kind of get these filler pieces up and out of the way. So we're going to split it right here. And then just fold them up out of the way here. That did not sound good to me. Got that. Get the arms out of there right now. And we're going to come back down here. Let's go ahead and build up the legs down here. So, do need to fold away the wheel. Get that done. We're going to open up this right here. Folds out the foot. We kind of fold this out to build the front of it. And then we're going to slide down the leg. Which we might want to use a little bit of force from the inside to help that slider. Alright, so the best way to kind of do this is to rock the thigh. And that's more than sliding, it's kind of rocking up. And then what we're going to do is pull this down, and that's going to tab into here. And we have that leg like so. Kind of set that like that for now. Just get it out of the way. We can do the same thing that we just did to the other leg. I'm not sure if you're really supposed to or not, but you kind of push this back to establish a heel, which I feel like it makes it more stable. And then you slide the knees up and get the feet more on a stable surface so he can stand really well. We can move on to this upper section here, flipping this up And I guess we do need to put this away. Put that into there. Get that out of the way. Now we're going to do this top nose cone. There's a lot of stuff going on with it. All right, let's go ahead and straighten this stuff here out a bit. We are going to close this up. We're going to open this and rotate it around to here. All right, get all of that. In that motion there, we need this to be rotated up to here. And we are going to do some fun here. So this is going to have to come kind of over and go through all of this. Oh, we got to get down these fillers too. So let me get these fillers. These has got some gap fillers in here. Okay, get the head out of the way. So we're going to pull these gap fillers out, and then we're going to fold them down. Out and down. And into place. I'm going to go from a different angle and just kind of like have to flex it back a bit to get it. There we go with the side filler. Let's go ahead and do this side. And then I'm going to start folding it down. It feels like I'm having to flex it a bit to get it to go past the parts, but not really that big of a deal. All right, now we should have clearance in here to move this whole section down. And then we're going to open it up. All right, so pull this basically up, and then this is going to tilt right here. Push up on these pieces here. And now that's going to slide into place. A little slider there. And we're going into the chest area, the chestal region. As you can see, the head's starting to come up, and you're just kind of pushing this piece into here. And then this is going to come down for the back. And then these pieces are going to come down and form the back. Then this is going to come up to fold back to go on top of those pieces. And the shoulders come around like so. And we got to open the hands. Let's get that looking a little bit better. Open up the hands and do the standard hand stuff. Then we're going to go around and just kind of clean stuff up. But that's the gist of this. The hands are supposed to be the easy part. But we'll get the hands out, get all this stuff done, and we'll take a look at it. 4 bits of cleanup here. We do need to tab this into here. We need to form, I just didn't even think about it. The old transformation didn't have to form a cone head. You have to actually form the cone head, and then I guess plug its face back in. So that's new. So I was thinking like a whole huge different change for the cone head itself was going to be a different change, and not really that big of a difference. But yeah, still going to go around, clean them up a little bit more, and try to figure a few things out about this guy before we get into taking a look at him. Alright, if I sound or seem a little bit confused what's going on right now, it's because I think my hands are on the wrong side. And it's not a big deal at all, actually. But I just feel like my hands are on the wrong side. I feel like I'm in Spaceballs, where he's looking at his rear end and he's like, how come no one told me it was so big? But the hands are on the wrong side. Now, how do you fix that? Is it a huge problem? Is it a 3-month wait? No, it's not a 3-month wait. It's not a problem at all, really. Just slide that off, and then slide it on. Problem fixed. But I was a little confused for a second. I actually just thought, did I transform something wrong? So I just can't figure out how I could have transformed it wrong to create this problem. But now, here we go. So if you have that problem with yours, then that's like that easy of a fix. Not a big deal. And then when it comes to the guns attachments, you're going to want to get these bad boys out of here. Now, this is not an easy task to get these out of here because they're painted, and I'm sure that there's just not a correct tolerance for this. And so I'm using a little something to pry it out, which I'm probably going to be chipping paint. And as I said, I think this piece under here is actually burgundy. So I'm just going to pry these off and hope for the best, which I've already taken one off. But it's not fun. So I don't really like this gimmick. I wish it would have worked a little bit better. But it's... Or, I mean, this is actually kind of a cheap out. You could have just given us 2 sets. But whatever. We can get our null rays, and we're going to plug them in to the arms like we usually do. And then, oh yeah, you want to retransform it. So push down. Well, now you don't have as much leverage, but if you push down on this, you can get your fingers under that to fold this out and transform it and do it to the other side. All right, there he is in his robot mode, and it looks pretty good. I mean, it's the transformation on this, as fumbly as I probably made it look, is still a better transformation than deformation space. And it's still a smoother transformation. This thing is painted almost 90%. Seems like the majority of this figure is indeed painted. So with that, I'm really nervous about scratching up paint on this bad boy because it's a possibility, especially when you're plugging stuff in. And with that, on the originals, I never really could get these to seat in, to tab in. They just kind of hold in place. But that's a minor thing for me. And then really, the back is pretty clean, but I'm more interested in the front. And I think he looks pretty good. I barely can see paint on his eyes. But that's just me fumbling him. He was standing just fine. But I can barely see any eye paint in there. But they're yellow. There's a little in there. A little bit of eye paint. And then, yeah, I should probably get some stickers on there, some decals. It feels like the shoulder's painted, but this is not. And this is a part that's going to be coming in a lot of contact. But I don't know. Would I have minded painted on this? And I think this is a different type of plastic, probably POM versus ABS, something like that. That's what my understanding is. So that's why that would not be painted, and that would make sense. But we see paint here, paint on all these parts, all the way. The legs might not be painted, but they look good. Nice sheen to them. Yeah, they're painted. So there's it's a lot of paint. I mean, that's what Takara did. So they're copying Takara and how Takara did it. But yeah, lots of paint, lots of good paint on this guy, and he looks pretty good. Getting down here to... We've got the purple and some more red and some black, and I need to tab this back in on the lower leg. Get that tabbed in. So that might not be tabbed in as well. So I'm not getting that to tab in as well as I would like. I'm not sure exactly what's going on with that, but it's still not a huge distraction for me. You can see that little bit not tabbed in, but overall, pretty good looking figure. Gets the job done as a thrust. Let's quickly do articulation, and then we can get into some comparisons. All right, his head does the normal side to side. You go up about that much, down that much. I don't think the fact that his head's a cone head affects that, but there's not much articulation in the head. Shoulder goes up to here, and then it's got its own ratchet to go even higher, so he's going to win on Saturday Night Fever. He does have the butterfly, so that's really good, and it's really tight on this other side. Be careful with it, but as you can see how far this one goes, the other one would go just that far too if I was messing with it a lot. So that's pretty good for the butterfly. He's not holding a sword either. You got the 360, and it's a nice ratchet to it, bicep swivel, so that you can get that null ray look, and with the hands they can go down, so you can have that hand out of the way as you null ray. And I know everyone says the only true null rays are on Starscream, but okay, whatever. His arm blaster, he does have the bicep swivel, and it goes past the 90. Not, I don't know, what's that? 90, 120? Oh, whatever. Then 125. And we've got hands. Okay, 1-2 joints on the thumb. It's opposable thumb. We've got 1-2 joints on every finger, and they are all individually articulated, and they feel pretty good. So nothing really that bad. And you can get that evil grabbing look to it. It has an ab crunch, which that's a point of articulation, a point of contention with fans, and getting them out of that ab crunch. It's a tight ab crunch. Getting them back reset is a little bit of a challenge, but no swivel that I can see. So that is the contention that people are upset about. You saw how it transformed. I mean, I don't know how it would swivel with just all that junk in there. I'm not sure how that would have been pulled off, but I think deformation space has it. We'll check that here in a bit when we do some comparisons. Pull this flap up. Now everything's really tight. Even these flaps are tight, but I don't know how far you could really go with that in the way, but it looks like you could. The hardware will get you easily the 90. Got to get this out of the way. You got the thigh swivel past the 90 right there. So let's see. Oh man, I probably scraped something. So it's got that much range in the knee and the hip and all of that. And it feels good. It feels pretty good. It's solid. Solid. And then the foot side to side, up and down. Everything you need. And just the problem with the cone heads is all of the kibble, but it's part of the character. And there you go. All right, this is the comparison to what he's based on, the mold he's based on. So this is the official Takara. This is the KO. And this is the MPU. So looking at them side by side, or looking at them compared to it, you can tell it's pretty much the same mold. One of the things I noticed, which I guess we're not really seeing it so much here, the inside thigh, the way that is designed is different. The inside of the lower leg is the same on these and different than deformation space. And there's a couple other things I saw in the pictures. The way the side of the chest or the abdomen area. So everything's about the same on it. The only thing it really did is just redesign the head and sort of redesigned how the wings operate with it. And I think they did pretty good with it. So it works. That works. This works fine. That looks kind of silly. But yeah. The knee pads slide up higher. So I was kind of curious how they would pull all this stuff off. But it even looks like these pieces are, like right down here, this is all still the same. So they just redesigned the knee pad section, which is smart, and they did it well. And it's not 100% tune accurate with not having ginormous ones. Well, we'll see here in a little bit. But to me, it looks good. I think it probably looks better like this with the compromises they made to just adapt the mold than it would have been to try to make it look more like the cartoon. But let's get into some Make Toys comparisons. All right, so getting into comparisons, this is the deformation space, and as you can see, it's a bit taller. In fact, they're head-to-head about the same size with a giant cone on the top. And this is the Make Toys, and the Make Toys is taller also. Still, Make Toys is, in comparison and in the world, a little shorter than deformation space, but fits it closer. But I also want to show that it, with the ginormous lower legs that they got going on, it is more cartoon accurate. But I actually like the look of this better. So like in my mind, this is what the cone heads should look like more. Also, they did engineer the lower legs for the wings, be on the lower legs. And I'm guessing if you did want them for whatever reason on the upper legs, you could pull that off too. But I mean, it would be a bit of a pain. But that was a problem with some of these people. This really could not achieve this to this level because it's still attached to the back and on the Make Toys. So there's a lot of things that make this better than the Make Toys. I do like it better. I like the color better. I like just the look of it better. But it is a little shorter. So that's the big but and the big downside. And if you're standing them right next to, say, deformation space, which I wish they would have done these, but if you stand them next to deformation space, you can kind of see the size difference. But if your cone head's on a separate shelf, then it definitely will work. And am I debating on whether or not I upgrade from the Make Toys? And this is my cone head. Well, they need to do all three, and then I think the decision will be a lot easier, and it'll be a yes. But Right now, this is the only one we got. If we can get all three, then I probably will move on from the Make Toys. But till then, I'm holding on to all the Make Toys until we can get all three of these. Last size comparison is next to Megatron, and in a lot of people's minds, the Coneheads, the Seekers, should be a bit bigger compared to Megatron MP36. I agree with that 100%. They should be a little taller. And so that's my biggest negative, and that has nothing really to do with this figure. It is the design from Takara. I don't know why they made it so much smaller than what they've done in the past and Megatron, but anyhow, that is how it scales. Let's go with two more faces. One is kind of a smirk right here, and then just a stoic face. I'm okay with his kind of yelling face on there, so I'm fine with that. But if you want to swap out faces, there you go. Alright, this is my look at the MPU-01 Thrust 2.0 Destron, new Destron Warrior version. And what do I think of him? I think they did a pretty good job on him. I think he looks good. The adaptation of the Takara mold by some unnamed company over here, making it look like it's a Takara. It's good. It's good. For 84 bucks, it's great. For 84 bucks, for the price point, I have to admit, for the price point, I think it's outstanding. So I had two issues like this. I couldn't get this to tab in all the way, and maybe with some more time and effort, when I'm not making a video, I could get that tabbed in a little bit better. And my hands were on wrong. But as you can see, it didn't really affect anything, and it took me less than a minute to fix it, so I'm not upset about it at all. And for the price, now I did get this at Shozy store. I will have a link down below, and if you ever have dealt with Coneheads in the past, the first one that's out usually sells out and doesn't come back and is a very expensive one. And there's very few places that you can even get these because they're unofficial. So I have a link down below. Make sure you use TH Reviewer code when you get yours, and don't miss out if you're wanting these Coneheads. But let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, subscribe, and Teddy Hanger out.
The humans are so eager to play, this stadium will make a perfect space bridge.